Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Mama Genius Hub podcast. I have someone great in store for you today. We're going to be talking about the word no. And I know as moms, yes is usually the word that comes out, but let's learn how to put some boundaries up and really see what does that actually mean from us. So we'll be getting to that in just a moment. Welcome to Mama Genius Hub podcast, where we support moms with big dreams from entrepreneurship to personal aspirations. I'm your host, Michelle Kaiser, and I'm here to help you unlock your potential in all areas of life. Join us as we explore strategies for thriving in motherhood while pursuing the dreams, the key to actually unlocking your genius. Subscribe now and embark on a journey to realize your fullest potential. So we have Suzanne Culberg with us today from Australia. Love the accent. The Nope Coach, who has helped overgivers and people pleasers learn how to set boundaries and use the word no without feeling guilty. Suzanne is known for her straightforward talking and wacky t-shirt. Let's see what she has on today. And she lives in Sydney, Australia with her husband and two awesome kids, which I was just telling her as we were getting on. That's where I got married. Well, a little bit further north. Got married in the Gold Coast. But welcome, Suzanne. I'm so excited to have you on today.
Thank you, Michelle. I was like, what t-shirt do I have on today?
That
It's
was
my Ariel. I don't want to be where the people are. So it's end of school year here, and I've had lots of my daughters finishing primary school. So I don't know how many events I've had to attend. I'm like, you don't realize the amount of extroverting I've done for you, darling.
so much. And you're like, you need your downtime from that as well. Wait, just as we always do, let's just dive right in. What is your why behind wanting to teach people how to say no?
That is such a great question. I think, I was going to say, it sounds cliche, but like happiness, as in so many of us are so focused on everybody else's happiness, our children's, our partners, our bosses, our colleagues, at the expense of our own. And, you reach a point where you're exhausted, burnt out, wondering, like, I've got the things. I've got the house and the white picket fence and the 2.1 kids. And, like, I've got all the stuff that I set out for. Why am I not feeling it? And I think a lot of that is linked to people not actually putting themselves first and doing things for other people at the expense of themselves. I'm not saying don't ever do anything for anyone. Like, hello, I'm wearing the shirt. I've been I've been everywhere this week. But that's for a limited time and in specific circumstances, not 24/7.
I'm just writing that down right now because I love that. It's in limited times and not the 24 hours. I just want to say that one more time because it's so true, especially I'm looking at you all moms, that we do this because we want to make sure our kids have the best. But again, take that step back going, am I happy doing this? That is the biggest question that we're going to throw out today. And I know you have some ways and things that we're going to dive into this. So I just love that. And I just take a pause to say that because I think it's so important. Sometimes as moms are just like, okay, what's the next thing? But like, let's just pause on that and just picture that word happiness right now in your own mind. And what's the first image that pops up? I don't know. What's the first image that popped up for you, Suzanne?
Being near the water or in water and a book. Like, and I don't actually, although I'm in Australia, I don't live close to the coast compared to how I would most prefer. So bath, book, alone. And, as much as I love my children, always, I also love being alone and having that conversation with them about mum having needs and them having needs so that all of our needs can be met, not at the expense of. And my children are just brilliant about, and sometimes too, in the beginning, when you start to, set boundaries with your immediate family, there can be pushback. But after time, and it's not that much time, they're like, oh, Mummy just needs to go to the gym, or Mummy needs to go for a walk, or would you like to read a book? And now my daughter's old enough to make me cups of tea because I love tea. She's like, would you like me to run you a bath and get you a cup of tea? And I'm like, oh, this is heaven. This is happiness.
I have to totally agree with you. And when you said water, like when we moved to Wisconsin, my whole dream was like, let's have a lake house. Well, reality set in. Didn't quite happen, but it's still, my goal is at some point to have water to look out at. Like I don't necessarily have to, my girls are swimmers. I'm not necessarily a swimmer, but I like to be like by it. And I was thinking about the book or just a quiet time in the morning with a cup of coffee or a cup of something warm just to like have that moment in the morning. And so I really want you moms out there listening to visualize what does that moment look like for you and really visualize it so you can start making it happen more often. And I know we don't do it every day or it doesn't always happen, but you can make it happen more often. So you
just
brought it
one
up.
thing with that though, I just want to add on to that. Notice if any guilt comes up, because sometimes, especially if you haven't taken it for months or years or since you became a mum, like growing up, my own mother, she's since passed, but I remember watching her when I was a kid. And like, you know how some kids just born to be mums? Like my daughter can't wait. She wants 5 kids. She's already named them. It's a whole situation. I never had that. And I always thought like, what's wrong with me? But thinking about it, my mum had no friends, no hobbies. She worked and she looked after us. And I thought, because that was what was modeled to me, that when you grew up and became a mum, your life was over. Like, I don't mean to say it like that, but I'm nothing if not correct. So then it's little wonder I didn't dream of becoming a mum, because it was like I have dreams of my own. And then when I met my now husband, and neither of us were originally like we're going to have kids, we were like, we'll sit and we'll see. We were together for quite some time, like 11 years before we had kids. And it was a conscious decision, and it was the best decision. But I was from day dot like, yes, I have kids, but I'm also still Suzanne, not just mum, taxi, cook, cleaner. So it's kind of like you can have it all. Obviously not 24/7 all the time, but it's like you have dreams and stuff too. That doesn't stop when your kids are born.
And that's exactly why I even create this, because it's about finding that genius inside of you, what lights you up, what brings that out of you, whether it is your own business or a career or something, or it is just writing a book, or not just getting whatever out of you into the world. I got to catch myself. My language is so important. And we put that, especially as moms, we use the word just, or we put ourselves down, or we don't give ourselves credit or celebrate the accomplishments that we make. And I think that also comes into the word no, as we're talking about that as well, because a lot of times we just keep saying yes, 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 but then we don't even take the heart to say, my gosh, you just did all that. Congrats on that to yourself. And you're just like, and you're like bitter about it.
Well, that's whenever anyone says just a mum, because it's so common. It's like linguistically everywhere. I always catch it. I always say, excuse me. Let's unpack that. But it's funny, we're recording this. So last night we had my daughter's primary school graduation, and my husband came along, and we're sitting there, and I was like, this is the first event he's actually attended. Not down, like he works out, but I was like, congratulating me. I was like, oh, there's that teacher she had in this grade, and there's this teacher, and he's just giving me these blank looks. I'm like, he's never met any of them. I'm the one who's gone to the parent teacher. I'm the one who's volunteered. I'm the one who helps with home, like I do all this, not to make him feel bad or whatever. It's like, I've done so good. Like, go me. And then, because I think sometimes we forget when we're just a mum, going to those parent teacher interviews, asking, how can I extend my kid, volunteering and all this sort of stuff, that is an entire career. And for those of us who also have a paid career or a building paid career, like, wantrepreneur, expensive hobby, I've been there, you have that on top of the mum duties as well. So it's like, because it wasn't that long ago, many generations, where you had the community. Like I say, it takes a village. And my husband and I, we live in a different state from our family. And I was like, so where does this village turn up? Like, how do I find it? And even last night at this graduation, they're like, no siblings allowed, just the graduating child. So I was like, I'm gonna have to find someone to watch my other child to 10 o'clock at night. And then I was like, I don't really want to. Anyway, long story short, I had to like, can my child stay at your house? Which seemed like such a big deal for me for during the week. And I was like, celebrating me. I arranged all of this. So, the little things.
I want to give you props for that and and celebrate you for that. And what I want to touch on, because we kind of started to in the beginning, is the word boundaries and how to set those up with the idea of the no versus the yes. But we're going to do that in just a moment. We'll be right back. Attention mompreneurs. Do you feel like you're constantly juggling the responsibilities without a moment to yourself? It's time to pause and reflect with our Mama Genius quiz. Tailored for busy mamas like you, this quiz will help you identify what's blocking your path and inspire you to harness your unique strengths. Transform how you manage life and business, find your rhythm, and ignite your joy. Visit mamageniushub.com today to discover your Mama Genius. And that's mamageniushub.com. So yeah, I really want to drive into the idea of boundaries. And I know on the title we're putting like the saying, using the word no, then when all the times we say yes as moms. I'd love for you to address that.
So we have things that we want to do for us, whether it be a hobby. Like I love to read. Are you much of a reader, Michelle?
Yeah, but I feel like I haven't been doing as much as I want to.
Buying books and reading books are two entirely different hobbies. And I think
I'm with you. I have a shop right here. I'm looking at books I have not read.
We spend the money on our hobby, whether it be books or crochet, craft, scrapbooking, you name it. And then we're like, well, I do spend stuff on myself. And it's like, yeah, but do you actually utilize the thing, or is it collecting dust? And then you have the guilt that I've spent this money that could have been better used for the family because you haven't actually created the time to do it. So if you're like, actually, I want to read this book, and then you sit down and either one of your kids wants help with the homework, or they've broken something, or they want to go to a friend's place, or how do I get past this level on Roblox, or I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like the list is endless. I'm sure I don't need to tell you the kind of things that come up. And you're just like, okay, so you go and deal with that and you come back and you find yourself reading the same line 20, 50, 100 times. So then you're like, oh, I'll leave it to the kids are in bed. And then the kids are in bed and you're like, I'll just wipe down the sink and I'll just get the clothes ready for tomorrow and so on and so forth. And then you're like, I'm exhausted. Or I'll turn on the TV when you actually wanted to read, but you can't focus because you're so tired. And then you're just mindlessly staying up way too late watching something that you're not taking in anyway. And that's your downtime. So I think it's kind of like being able to say no in the moment. And there's a difference between, like, anyone listening to this, like the biggest pushback I get is like, what if it's an emergency? Like, I'm recording this with, well, only one kid home, the other's at a sleepover. But she knows that if it's a true emergency, in my case, blood or bone, she can come in here 100%, or like call from the other room, whatever. I will be there. But what constitutes an emergency? Her not being able to get past the next level on Roblox might feel like an emergency to her. It is not an emergency to me. So having this conversation lovingly, not just expecting them to know, they're kids. I remember the first time I tried to set this up, I was like, don't interrupt me unless it's important. And they're both like nodding. So I come and sit at my office and I'm like, I'm going to write a blog. And I'm like, maybe not even 5 minutes in. Maybe I've sat here for like 3 minutes. My daughter comes bursting in and I'm like, is it important? She's like, what is it? I can fit 27 blueberries in my mouth. And I'm like, oh dear, we need to have a conversation about what actually important is. Because I think it's not that we don't set boundaries or try to. It's that we do it once, people don't really get it, then we get even more frustrated, and then we just kind of throw the whole idea out. And it's like, actually, what does this mean? Because to her, it's really important. How exciting. This is amazing. To me, not a priority. So us having this conversation about what actually constitutes interruptible and what is not, so that when I'm finished work, like that's the thing, when I'm finished work, I'm with my kids. I don't have my phone. I don't have any notifications. I'm not interrupted by bings and bongs, because I think, well, for me, I wasn't doing anything well. When I was at work, my mind was on my kids. When I was with my kids, I was constantly answering my phone. And one day my son, out of the blue at the park, said to me, "You love your phone more than me." And my heart broke. And I thought, he's right. So I deleted all the apps. I only have email through my computer. And sometimes people get quite affronted, like, how dare I not respond to them immediately? But emails is someone else's priority, it's not mine. So, it's like you get to create and decide the life that you want to live, and teach other people how to treat you. And if people are going to get up in arms that I didn't respond to them within the hour, are they people I really want to interact with anyway?
I just have to pause right there and repeat what you just said. Emails are someone else's priorities, not mine. And fill that in emails with anything. So blank is someone else's priority, not mine. And to really focus on what are your priorities. That was just so beautifully stated in the way that you're saying, like, you're at the park, like, why should I be answering these emails right now when that's not my priority in this moment in time? I think that's where we get these pressures and stuff of what needs to be done, when and where. And I love that you just synthesize that so beautifully with just nonchalantly too. So I had to point that out.
But I'll caveat that with, and if checking your emails or playing Candy Crush or whatever while you're at the park with your kids is your downtime. Do not feel any guilt or shame about that. Like,
I love that.
have been mum all day, and you're like, they can slide by themselves. I've got half an eye on them, and I'm just doing this for me. You do you. But for me, I have such great boundaries now, I didn't before, that I have time for that. So when I'm with them, I'm attempting to kick the AFL, Australian rules football, or soccer, or whatever it is. Like, I am with them, and it's quality time, not quantity. So before, I might take them to the park for like an hour or an hour and a half, but I'm on my phone. And I said, not judging that, you do you. Now we might go for 20 or 30 minutes, but I am attempting to participate in the sport.
I love that too, though. And I think as moms, I want to put that out one more time. You do you, no judgment. And I think as we're moms, whether you're out playing in the field or out on your phone at the park, like stop looking at other moms and putting that judgment on them, or then taking that judgment for yourself and saying, oh, I should be doing that.
Imagine
Like,
how the world would change if we didn't get all up in arms about other mums. Like sometimes it happens, and especially mums can kind of get cliquey. And whenever I hear someone say, "Oh, that woman on her phone the whole time," I'm like, "Hang on, hold up. We have no idea what's happening there. Maybe this is the only time all day that she gets to herself, and it's only really faux to herself because she's still with her kids." Like if we see a dad at the park, how come generally we're like, "Oh, he's an amazing dad," but if we see a mum at the park and she's on her phone, like, oh my gosh. And the other thing too, when people go, oh, I got a break today, I got to go to the supermarket alone, like, and then people joke that this is a holiday. I'm like, no, having food to eat is a basic human need. That is not a holiday. If your downtime is shopping alone, like, just, I know mums who, like, I'm very honest and transparent with my husband, but sometimes people have different relationships, but who will like shop online for, do you guys have click and collect? So they just bring it to your boot, or you guys would call it the trunk. So they have it all, but then they go and get a massage or walk around or take their book. So they've gone shopping, but actually have had their downtime that way. And I was like, I just think that's a much better use of your time than wandering up and down the aisles trying to, but whatever works for you, and there's no judgment in there. Like, and I think that's the thing. If that's their thing, let them have it. Why do we have to be like all righteous and pious? Like, I'm always doing this. It's like, do you get a medal for that?
I love that so much. And that's why I just love about all these conversation stuff. It's really, and that's why I really want to go back to that line of what is your priority, and filling that in and celebrating that, whatever it is, whether it is getting the downtime with your phone at the park or playing the soccer. It doesn't matter. It's what matters is that it's your choice and that you've made it, and you're going to do it guilt-free.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, guilt-free too, and also being open to your kids' experience or desires or whatever being different to yours. So my daughter had her like formal leavers dinner last night. She wanted to have her nails done. I've only ever had my nails done in my life twice. It's not something I choose. If I have spare money and time, I'd much rather be reading a book, but everyone's different. So I take her to the salon. Like, we're bombarded with all these choices. I don't even know where to start. They're like, do you want almond or this? I don't even know what this means. And I have like the blankest look on my face. But also, people are so kind and friendly. And this other like person sitting in the chair next to us explains it all to us. And I was like, oh, thank you. Like, because this is the experience that she wants that I have no frame of reference for. And, she really enjoyed that. And then we went to the event last night. Some kids had their nails done, some didn't. Some hired a fancy car that did all the stuff, some didn't. But everybody, what I loved about that was everybody did the things that felt good for them. And there wasn't, as far as I could see outwardly, any kind of like, well, they have that, so I shouldn't, or I'm less than, or whatever. It was just like everyone gets to do the things that they like to do. And I was like, I really think the world's shifting in that way, and I love it. I'm here for it.
I love that too. I do, before we run out of time, I want to emphasize on the word no and how you use it in your coaching and stuff, and just really throw that out there to however you want to take that question, because I wasn't sure how to phrase it.
Quickly, so if everyone listening can get themselves a little scrap of paper like this, so if you're listening on the audio, just a little square of paper, tear it out of your journal, challenge yourself, doesn't need to be neat. And then grab a pen, and on one side of it write yes, and then flip it over, and on the other side write no. And if you're doing this as you listen in the car, on the bus, train, however, really take the time to do this when you get home, because it's so simple, but it's so effective. And then think of an indulgent thing, reading a book, going to the theatre, having a massage, just whatever, something that you're doing purely for you and you've planned it. You're like, okay, kids are going to be at school, got time off work, you're about to sit down and open the book, and then somebody asks you for something that is not urgent. Obviously, as I said, blood and bone, of course, but it's kind of like, can you help me get past this next level? Or we've run out of apples or something. It's not urgent. And can you go do this? And I want you to hold your little piece of paper up so the yes is pointing towards them. You're like, yeah, sure, because that's what we most do. What's pointing towards you?
No.
So when you say yes to others, yes, I'll check that email. Oh, yes. And because I'm guilty of this. When I don't want to do my own stuff, for whatever reason, I'll go, when I find myself in email at not my email times, I'm like, yeah, I'm just looking for someone else to blame for me not wanting to do my own stuff, But other times it is, people's thing. But when you say yes to others, you're saying no to yourself. And when you say no to others, and no doesn't mean not ever, it can be not right now. I can help you with Roblox after dinner, or I can help you with this tomorrow. And I think that's sometimes too, like, not right now, or I'll get back to you. Instead of saying yes in the moment, I need to check my diary, I'll get back to you. That is honest for me because I don't have any of the apps or things on my phone. I use my phone as a phone, shock horror. So if someone asks me to do something, I honestly need to check my calendar because my calendar's on my computer. So I'll get back to you. And the other thing too with that is if it's urgent, what you can say to the person is, not right now. If you still need help with that, come back to me tomorrow or next week. Because when something's urgent, they're sure as whatever going to be asking everybody they know. So the thing is, you don't need to circle back. They would have found someone else. You just leave it in their court. Like if you still need help moving house, come back to me next week. They would have found someone else. People who are desperate are pretty ingenious in terms of getting themselves help.
Oh, I love that. It's so true. And on that note, we'll be right back. Do you ever feel like your own dreams are fading on you as you focus and keep everything together for your family? Or been buried under laundry and school runs and endless to-do lists? They're so deep, you don't even know what they are anymore. The Mama Genius Hub is here to help you uncover that part of you again. Maybe you felt that pull to start a passion project, return to a hobby you once loved, or pursue a career that lights you up, but you're so caught in everyone else's needs that you keep slipping through the cracks. In just 15 minutes a day, our mini courses will help you reconnect with those dreams while finding a new rhythm in motherhood's beautiful, messy life. And best of all, you'll be doing it with a community of moms who truly understand the juggle and the joy. The Mama Genius Hub is a community who've been there and are here to support and inspire each other every step of the way. It's time to rediscover your spark, live in your genius, and inspire your kids by showing them how to follow their own passions. Join the Mama Genius Hub today and start creating space for you again without guilt or doing it solo.
Come to www.connectingmamas.com for more details.
And we're back, and we're going to dive into, which I think you've touched on this a little bit, but I want to hear your thoughts on it. What is a common misconception about motherhood that you think holds many moms back from truly stepping into their genius?
I think it's like, I need to wait. So as in like, so you have a goal or a dream, start a business, write a book, do your podcast, whatever it is, it's I need to wait. And this I need to wait is always just pushed back. So when your children are really young, I need to wait until they start school or they're a bit more independent or whatever. And then when they start school, I need to wait till they've finished school. And when they finish school, I need to wait till they're out of the house. Like there's just always this misconception that now isn't the right time. Now is the only time we have. Like tomorrow is never guaranteed for any of us. And I don't say that to like doom and gloom and whatever, but all we have is now. We don't know what the future holds. So whatever it is that you want to do, just take that very next step and then it will work itself out along the way. Because I think a lot of us are big picture thinkers. It's like, I see myself with the published book. I don't see myself writing a book. And it was funny you used just a book as an example earlier. Like I just how you said that. I wrote my first book, though my second one, I haven't got around to it. I feel the pull, but in 15 minutes a day before my kids woke up. So I get up in the morning, I'd set an alarm for 15 minutes. I wrote it from beginning to end. I never went back because if I went back and edited it, I never would have finished it. And I just deliberately finished it mid-sentence. So like, I'm like, oh, the baby's crying, or oh, the 15 minutes alarm's gone off. And then I came back the next day, just read the beginning of the sentence and just kept going from there. So like you can create your thing in the way that works for you instead of going, oh, I need a book coach or I need a system or, like whatever you feel the call to make, start it now in your way and fumble your way forward.
I love this. Every time I look at it, the mom time frame is 15 minutes. How are you going to spend that 15 minutes? I mean, that's what the hub's all about, is choosing that 15 minutes a day to do something, because you do have 15 minutes. And I know you don't have much more than that, but you do have 15, whether it's in the morning, nap time, after the kids go to bed, and using that timer. And I love that so much. So tell everyone, Suzanne, how I know you have a gift for the audience and how everyone can get a hold of you.
So the best place to get a hold of me is my website, SuzanneCulberg.com. I'm not very active on social media because I don't have it anywhere. So, I have a website, I have a contact page. My contact page is so much fun. Check it out. I don't think you would have seen one like it. When you go to my website, it says don't click. It's to attract the rebels in the house. So website's best place to find all the things that I do. And I do have a gift. I have a course called the Building Boundaries Bundle, because it's not as simple as just saying no and then riding off into the sunset. Because if it was, we wouldn't have been ensconced into these habits that aren't serving us. So it's normally 50 Australian dollars, but for your listeners, they can grab it for free if they use the coupon code Mama Genius, one word, name of your podcast. And that's at SuzanneCulberg.com/BBB. And it's also in the description. And pop the coupon code in there, grab that for free. And they're all short-ish videos with little action steps because, mums are busy. We haven't got time to watch an hour and a half of something. So
we are speaking the same language, sister. And on that note, you get to sit back for me and listen to my takeaways from today. And we'll bring you back for your final takeaway. So everyone, what a wonderful episode. First of all, let's get through our 5 takeaways. First, that number 1 is, let's look at the word happiness. When we keep people pleasing, we keep putting other people first, you are putting your happiness at the expense of everyone else. And so think about, what does happiness mean for you? We talked about both of us having that desire of water. What is that vision for you? Start doing that. Number 2 is really, which kind of leads us into those dreams that I was putting as well, not to put on the back burner anymore. But notice also when those dreams are coming up, is guilt coming into the play? And to try to release that guilt as much as you can, which actually leads us into takeaway number 3, where we ended up with the idea of just a mom, because it's said so many different times. And the problem is, we're not celebrating the things we are doing as moms. We're not giving ourselves credit for any of the things, all the volunteering, all the parent-teacher conference, all the things that are being done. A lot of times we take that away from ourselves. But that doesn't mean, which leads us to number 4, that we can't set those boundaries into place. Some of the things that we can do is looking at how we're spending our money, and are we taking time? We're buying all the books, doing all those things, but are we taking time to actually read them and putting those into our days? And I love how Suzanne say, yes, we might start telling our kids it might not happen right away, but we have to train them to what that expectation is. I remember I didn't even tell this story, but I'm gonna tell it real quick, is I told my daughter, go wipe down the table. Well, this was her wiping down the table, slapping the rag on the table. And so until we train those things and go through it more than once, that they are understanding, then it won't be. So we can't say one and done. So keep working with that. And also remember, someone else's priority is not mine. Figure out what those priorities are and then release the guilt. Playing soccer, phone, doesn't matter. Choose whatever works for you at that moment in time. Then that leads us into number 5 with the paper trick. Go ahead and get your piece of paper and put the yes and no on one side, and then ask yourself the question, what side is facing onto you? Is that what you want? Release the guilt from it, and then go forth with that, and just really putting that into place. And I think the visual really helps us with that. And we need that as we're learning these steps. Remembering the 15 minutes or less, we can do it. Everything's in bite size. So welcome back, Suzanne. Those are the 5 takeaways I had.
I think you've nailed it. I just will add on to that 15 minutes. If you choose to spend your 15 minutes scrolling, watching reels, playing whatever, be intentional about it. I think sometimes people, because that the 15 minutes kind of becomes 2 hours, becomes I didn't get anything done today. You don't need to spend your time being hyper productive. I'm going to spend my 15 minutes recording a podcast, writing a book, whatever. You can spend your 15 minutes lying on the grass looking for shapes in the clouds. It's totally up to you. And I think when we let go of that always having to be productive, we've all heard about toxic positivity. What about toxic productivity? Your 15 minutes can be downtime. And the other thing is the last takeaway, and we didn't say it explicitly, but all of this leads to putting your own oxygen mask on first. We hear this whenever we fly and we give the nascent eye roll and go, do I need to watch this again? But if you don't do the things for you, like you're on an airplane, then not only are you unable to help anyone else, but you're actually requiring help yourself because you fall down in the aisle and you're in the way. So these things that you feel guilt for, like, oh, taking time for myself, watching the clouds, having a shower, reading a book, make you so much more able to help and give and provide because you filled your own cup first. So whenever you feel that twinge of guilt, like I can honestly say, and I hadn't realized it today, so thank you for this gift, Michelle, I don't feel guilty about any stuff anymore. Like people say to me, it must be nice. Like you read a book today, it must be nice. And in the past, I'd have to justify it. And now I'm like, it is.
Oh, a girl. I love the accent with it too. It is. And it's so true. The more we start doing those things and the more our energy changes with that. And I've been feeling that. And I will actually just one last thing. I will tell a story yesterday. Is I led a group for the first time yesterday, the family circle, and I became the co-host of this group yesterday. So I saw myself first off for doing that. But secondly, the comments that I was getting from people afterwards was your energy changed the room. They're like, it was pretty dry. And so I think the more we start doing the things that light us up and getting in there, then we're bringing people on board with us and then involved with everything we do, activities with our kids, everything, when we are choosing the things that we want to do. I got the honor of seeing my son be an Elvis impersonator in the play Who Killed Elvis this weekend. I was just like, my mouth was dropping watching him do this. I'm like, that's my son up there. And then my daughter, I got to watch her. She is 1 second. I'm going to have to say this. I'm saying this out into the universe. She is 1 second away from 50-yard breast and 100-yard breast of making a national time at the age of 11.
That's incredible.
So just being able to watch those and participate, and I actually came home after that. The one I was actually watching my youngest daughter swim that day, but I came home and you know what I did? I took a nap because it was so hot in there. I was so tired. I thought I was getting the flu, but I think it was just more being in the hot in there. And I got the rest, and then I felt better the next day. I was just like, but we need to take care of ourselves in the process of all this, and watching our kids doing the things that they're doing, but then also doing the things that you're doing, and it's what it's all about. We could go on forever, Susan. I know, Suzanne, I know we could. But on that note, I think we're going to have to end the episode for today. Thank you for joining us. And I want us to do that at the end. I want us both to say no together because I think people need to hear it. So 1, 2, 3, no! And we can all do it together. I'm empowering you all to use the word no, not right now, or maybe in a little bit. Right? Set that up for yourself.
Come back to me next week.
Come back to me next week. Exactly. On that note, we'll see you all later. Thanks everyone for joining us on the Mama Genius podcast. Thank you for joining us in today's episode of the Mama Genius Hub podcast. If you found value in our conversation, please share this episode with another mama who might benefit. Sharing helps us build a supportive community and reach out to more mamas like you. After all, it's more fun when we do motherhood together. Until next time, stay motivated and continue to pursue your dreams as you shine in your genius.